Hey, I'm back with some tips for getting really good letter shapes if you're working on this week's zine and making your own letter stamps. First thing is go with capital letters because capital letters are usually easy to draw. This one I just drew freehand, but obviously I used a ruler to get those straight lines. So do that. Even if you're cutting with scissors, if you take big long snips rather than little snips, you'll get neater edges. So remember that. Try and avoid capital letters. I'm ignoring my own advice here. I did a letter A and it has this gap. I've never had bits to do. Now I cut this with a knife, but a craft knife, but that's something for adults really. So avoid these. These are called counters, these gaps in the middle of letters. So go for ones that don't have them to try this out. So like a capital T or an E or a K or an L, an H, anything like that. Much easier to cut out. Also, if you want to get really interesting letter shapes and you don't trust your own drawing by hand, you can always borrow them from somewhere. Now, food packaging can be really good for letter shapes. So, for example, this pack of sugar has this fabulous letter B on it. And when you've used the sugar, put the sugar in something else, you can cut this out and stick it onto something like we've stuck onto here. And you've got a really nice letter B shape. Cereal packets are often really good for having big chunky letters that you can cut out. If the cardboard isn't thick enough, just stick it onto another piece of cardboard and cut it out again and it'll work. The other thing is to maybe use letters that you find elsewhere, particularly things you don't mind destroying, so magazines and newspapers. So there's this letter P here. If you want to know how to trace a letter easily, you do it like this. I'm going to tear it out first. Very nearly ripped it in half. I should have done that with scissors. So here's the letter P. Now if you've got some charcoal lying around, this is the easy way to do it. Otherwise, find the darkest pencil you've got. You know how pencils sometimes have the thing on, they'll say like 2B or 3B. Find the largest number B. You might, if you're lucky, you might find one up to a 6B. They'll work best on this. And you scribble all over the back. Now I'm using a bit of charcoal here and I can just sort of see the edge of that letter P. So what I'm doing is going all around the edge of the letter with the charcoal. You don't have to worry about being neat. That's not the aim here at all. Just make sure you've got tons of the stuff on. Okay. So you see that's there all on the back. Put this down on your piece of paper or your card that you're going to make the stamp from. I'll just do it on paper here. And then go around very neatly the edge of this letter. And as you press down, it will transfer the charcoal or the heavy pencil from the other side onto the paper. Can you see how it's done that? I forgot to do the middle. Hold on. Let's just scribble in the middle. Right, see if we can get that down in the same place. It's near enough. There we go. Now I have a letter P, which you can then cut out. The other way to do it is if you're using something that will indent a little bit. So I talked about foam earlier, or this will probably work on card. Just press down really hard. So I'll do it with this letter R this time. Let's pack this same bit. Press down really hard without tearing the paper, if you can. And that should leave a strong enough indentation on your cardboard. Can you see that there? It might not show on the video, but I can definitely see the indentation there. And I can just cut that out with a pair of scissors now. And that's a way of getting interesting letters. I've printed one on the back of the zine if you don't have a newspaper with some interesting letters to hand. So you can try that technique with that. And there you go. Last tip. Don't forget, if it isn't a symmetrical letter, like a letter A is, don't forget you've got to stick them on back to front, because when you print it, it will come out the right way around. Okay, have fun.